Hi everybody. I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time. And before I start, just a fair warning, if you're not into slasher movies, this probably isn't the video to sit and waste time watching. But if you are, by all means join me in listening to me ramble on and on and on and on about slasher movies. So I love slasher movies. They're my favorite type of movie. I fell in love with them at a very inappropriately early age in life, and I just want to show up. This is my collection so far of Japanese slasher movies. I've thought about doing like a brand new collection video of my whole collection. It's nothing phenomenal, but it's a decent size. But I just thought, let's just do the slasher movies. So I'm going to include, obviously, the slashers that I own. This isn't every single slasher movie ever made. I'll never be able to attain that goal. I'd love to. But also maybe some borderline slashers. But anyway, let's talk about some slashers. I'm going to talk about the Friday the 13th movies first, because if you are at all familiar with my channel, I'm a big Friday the 13th geek. It's my favorite franchise, my favorite movies. So I'm going to get them out of the way because I don't want to ramble. But this will probably be a very long video because maybe it's a vain of me to talk about these movies, but whatever. I'm just going to talk about all these slasher movies because I love slasher movies. But anyway, this is the original Friday the 13th. I have about 80, 90 of these to talk about. About 80, 85 maybe. I didn't officially count, but anyway, this might be a long video, so I apologize. But anyway, this is the original Friday the 13th. And I don't want to talk, because I can talk about Friday the 13th for like 5 hours and not run out of things to talk about. But this is the original. This is the uncut version. I think the main difference between the theatrical version and the uncut version is her death. Annie, I believe. There's a lingering shot of her like sliding down the tree, and maybe another second or two of Kevin Bacon's blood squirting up on his face. But I think other than that, it's about the same. So if you haven't seen the unrated cut, it's not that big of a deal. This is part 2. I love all these movies, by the way. I adore slasher films. Yeah, I'm trying to hold back talking about Friday the 13th and the franchise because I have an absurd amount of fandom behind it. But part 2, love part 2. Part 3, I'm in the minority in really loving part 3. Richard Brooker is easily my favorite Jason. I love Kane Hodder, don't get me wrong, but yeah, Richard Brooker is without a doubt my favorite Jason. He's like, I don't know. Part 3 was my introduction to the franchise. I caught the ending of it on a, I don't know, cable channel when I was a kid, and that's what got me hooked onto the franchise. You know, like the final chase with Chris. But this is part 4, the final, well, it's not technically part 4, it's just the final chapter, but cool looking tape there. Part 4, I think it's the best made Friday the 13th film. I don't know why. Every like international copy of Friday the 13th, I see this image of Tom Savini on the back. He's not even in the movie. I mean, yes, he does the practical effects for 1 and 4, but there's part 4. I'm trying to get trying to get the Friday the 13th out of the way. Maybe we'll talk about some more obscure, lesser known slasher films. But part 5, I love part 5. I think part 5 is my favorite Friday the 13th movie. Again, in the minority there. It's the most 80s drug-induced, coked out, cult. It's the closest thing you'll get to like a Grindhouse Friday the 13th movie. I love part 5. And if you're familiar with my channel, I do not like part 6. I know, shock and horror. I know Part Six is pretty much everyone's favorite, or a bulk of the people's favorite. I think the humor is bad. That's all I'll say. I don't want to go on a tangent for Part Six. I think I like Court's character. He's funny. He's meant to be funny, and he is actually funny. I enjoy his stuff in the movie, but just not. I don't hate Part Six, but it's the one I. It's the Paramount one that I revisit the least. I'm not a Part Six guy. Part Seven. Part Seven's good. It's in the middle for me. Kane's first stab at Jason. It's a shame that the MPAA, did what it did to the movie and destroyed the kills. And Part 8, again, I love Part 8. It's not my favorite, but it's one of my favorites. I know I'm not making any friends if anyone's watching this and they're a Friday the 13th fan. I don't know what it is. I put Part 8 on a lot as a, background noise. I just have a huge soft spot for Part 8. We got Jason Goes to Hell, which over the years, there's a little hole there. I never noticed that before. Oh well, whatever. Over the years, I've softened on Jason Goes to Hell. I don't think it's necessarily good, but I don't think it's as horrible as its reputation. For not the best practical effects in the franchise, and that's saying something that Tom Savini worked on 2 of those movies as well. The gore and the effects are great. Jason X is another one that my opinion has shifted quite a bit over the years. I enjoy Jason X. It's fun. I don't hate it as much as I used to. I don't hate it anymore. Campy. They made it just so that they'd keep the rights. It was rushed and shelved and then released. And then Freddy vs. Jason I have as well. I don't like Freddy vs. Jason. I'd rather watch Part 6 over Freddy vs. Jason. It's a shame. Freddy vs. Jason was my first movie theater experience of being disappointed. I think Robert Englund is great. I think all the Freddy aspects and stuff in the movie are great. You can tell Robert Englund's having a lot of fun, but sorry if you disagree, but I think Ken Kirzinger is the worst Jason in the franchise. So I have huge stacks of these tapes. It's ridiculous. So my last video, I talked about these 4. I'll go over them quickly. The Prey. Nice little average backwoods slasher. I enjoy The Prey. I'm not going to go into detail about it because I kind of had a chat about it in my last video. Cheerleader Camp, really good. Better than its reputation. Fun. Surprisingly good kill effects. I'll give it that. I really enjoyed Cheerleader Camp. Why it doesn't get talked about more is a shame. Mother's Day, more of a rape revenge film than a slasher. I mean, it is a slasher film as well, but it's trauma, so expect a little sleaze and unpleasantness. That's why I like trauma. I love trauma movies, but if you're not into being a bit shocked, then you probably won't like it. And this is A Bay of Blood. I know this is Italian. This is much more of a giallo than a slasher film, but it was a huge influence on many slasher films when the boom period happened, late 70s through the mid 80s. It was a big influence on the first few Friday the 13th movies as well. But I talked about these 4 in my last video. So I have a mixture of just out and out slasher films and maybe movies that you could consider slasher films, but they might not be. And These are in no particular order. Let's see. I'm gonna grab these because this is a little franchise. I'll get this out of the way first. Child's Play. So I have the first three Child's Play movies. I'm not into Bride and Seed. Early 2000s horror is rough. It's not my thing, but this is Child's Play. I think it's the best in the franchise. Yeah, I mean, what can I say that hasn't? I really don't want to go on and on and on about every movie because I'll be here for like 4 hours. And if anyone has stumbled across this video, you don't want that. But Child's Play, great classic. That's three. We will talk about two. Child's Play 2. Growing up, I used to think 2 was better than the original. Now, I just rewatched these maybe a few months ago, and I still like 2. I think 2 has a stronger ending. The ending in the factory kind of stuck with me as a kid, so I kind of based how much I liked this movie off of the ending. But watching these back, I think 1's way better. I love the Chicago setting. Chicago's such a cool city to shoot, in my opinion. And then we have 3. 3's all right. It's a bit of a swing and a miss. It's a bit toned down. The acting's a bit, but the practical effects improve through each movie. The practical effects do get, better and better. But that's 3. Now I'm just gonna start grabbing random tapes, guys. I have no idea what I'm gonna grab here. What's this? We've got The Burning. Great, camp slasher. Not camp as in campy, but in the woods. Came out in 81. Probably 81's probably the strongest year for slasher movies. Savini again with the practical effects, some of his best work. Cropsey, I don't know, what can I say? Burning's really good, really good. It's an interesting cover because it kind of doesn't show. I mean, this doesn't show you much. Just that scene with the shears and the. Hello, mate. What are you doing? Got my dog here, like always. And then the cover it's just The Burning, so it's him burning, but it doesn't give much away. Some of these covers and tapes give a lot away. So what do we got next? We've got The Dorm That Dripped Blood. This is the uncut version. There's much, much more gore in the uncut version than the theatrical version. This is all right. It's not, it's not going to blow you away, but it's a nice slasher film. The scene for me that sticks out the most is with, I think, the guys in the bathroom. Is it a drill or a power saw? It's pretty rough, pretty brutal. We've got the Zero Boys. This is, if you can see that, it's shot where Friday the 13th Part 3 was shot. That's the same location as Friday the 13th Part 3. But the Zero Boys is about a group of paintballers who are really bad, and they have the nickname the Zero Boys, and they, play in tournaments and have fun. And they finally win a game, and not Linnea Quigley, the cheerleader from Night of the Comet, I never remember her name. Anyway, their prize is they get to have her for a night, I think, or a week. It's been so long since I've seen the Zero Boys. And they go to the woods, to the cabin from Friday the 13th Part 3, and then, a group of killers find them, and that's the premise of the movie. Nothing horrible, but nothing spectacular either. X-Ray. I think the alternate title for X-Ray is Hospital Massacre. I think I could be wrong. Don't Don't quote me on that. Um, this is a Canon movie, so take from that what you will. Let's see, where's Canon's logo? Right there. Canon movie. This has a usually when Playboy playmates are in movies, it's just to show their boobs and scream and look good on camera. 90% of the time. But I will. I don't remember her name. I don't think she became a star. I could be wrong. But this is another one of those slashes where a Playboy playmate is the lead, is the final girl, but she is really good. She's her acting, and it's surprisingly good. So give it a shot. We've got The Initiation, one of my favorite. I'm gonna say this for like every other movie, one of my favorite slasher movies, but it's not talked about enough, which is a shame. Um, the first half of the movie is a bit slow. I mean, Clu Gulager's in there. He gets killed by like a garden implement. The first half, it kind of talks about someone's prior trauma in their life and like sleep study and dreams. But the second part is this sorority house for their initiation to be part of the sorority have to go into a shopping mall and steal the god's outfit. I don't know, just a prank where you have. Anyway, but the second half of the movie takes place in a shopping mall, and it's a slasher film that takes place in a shopping mall, and it's really good and really gruesome. Some really good stellar kills in The Initiation. I can't recommend that enough, actually. This one's Intruder, and I'm sorry if you've never seen Intruder, but the cover of this tape completely spoils the twist. It's a whodunit, but the whole movie you're led to believe it's this person or that person, and you have to figure it out. But the cover of the tape, surprise, it's him. So sorry if you've never seen Intruder and you're interested. Yeah, this is by the Raimis. This was a little slasher they made. I think this came out in the late 80s. This was 88, 89. One of the few really good quality slashes from the late oh, let's see. Yeah, 88. Bruce Campbell has a brief, tiny cameo in it, but the practical effects are spectacular, and the kills are really good. It takes place in a grocery store. Really good. This one is kind of a borderline slasher film. It's called The Lamp. I really like it. It takes place in a museum where there's a lamp and a genie comes out, and he's a sadistic, evil genie, not a happy, I'll grant you three wishes like Aladdin genie. And yeah, it's a bit supernaturally, which is fine, but it's the lamp. And the beginning is really, it's like in the beginning there's a home invasion scene, and it's oof. But I'd give the lamp a watch at least once just to check it out. Man, these are all over the place. I'm just grabbing random tapes here. What's this? This is Killbots. Well, Chopping Mall. Chopping Mall, which was released internationally as Killbots. I think Chopping Mall's a pretty common movie that a lot of people have seen. I think it's borderline a slasher film. I would consider it maybe at least part way as a slasher film. It's got some heavy hitters in 80s horror films. I enjoy it. Great head explosion from a laser beam being shot at that poor girl's head. There's not much I can say that hasn't already been said. I think the robots are hilarious looking, but they are a bit menacing, a bit campy, a bit tongue-in-cheek, not to be taken too seriously. Quite the opposite with this one. This is Maniac. Brutal movie. Really well made. Joe Spinell is phenomenal. It's a shame that he passed away when he did. Tom Savini effects again. It's a slasher film, but it's more so told by the viewpoint of the killer. Well, it is told by the viewpoint of the killer. Yeah, if you've never seen Maniac, I can't recommend that enough. Oh, we've got a franchise here. So we've got the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Let me see here. We've got the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And these, again, these are more, supernatural dream stuff. You don't really, you don't see Freddy's point of view. There's no, man in a mask or anything. Freddy speaks. He's intimidating. He jokes. He messes with you. But I would still throw this in the slasher category. Um, they're fun. They're well made. I know I say I'm a huge Friday the 13th fan, but, to be honest, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies are more fun to watch than the Friday the 13th movies, but it's just what I discovered first. But this is 2, Nightmare on Elm Street 2. My favorite of the franchise. I know that's not the most popular opinion out there, but I really like 2. I think Freddy's look in 2 is the best. I think it's hilarious that is not Robert Englund. That is just some random stunt guy that they shot that shower scene with, and the director and Robert Shea was like, "Oh, we have to get Robert Englund back," because they were trying to lowball him on a contract offer. But I love 2. I know it doesn't really play by the Nightmare on Elm Street rules, but whatever. I love 2 the best. 3, I mean, they were all good. Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. 3, I think 3 is considered most people's favorite, and I can't argue with that. 3 is really good. My copy is a bit faded, unfortunately, but yeah, 3 is great. There's not much I can say about these big popular movies because, everyone else has said it. 4, I have a soft spot for 4 as well. I think it's got some of the craziest special effects in the franchise. I think this was like peak Freddy. I think Freddy blew up with 3, and then they made 4, and 4 was just bonkers in a good way. Yeah, there's 4. 5, which gets a bad reputation, but I quite like 5. It's kind of mature. It touches on abortion and teen pregnancy, and it kind of it tries. It doesn't quite successfully get there, but it tries to tackle, some pretty serious topics. And it makes sense because, the fan base were teenagers when, not the entire fan base, but a lot of the fan base were teenagers in the mid 80s. And then by this point in what is this, 89? They're becoming young adults or older teenagers. Yeah, I don't blame it for taking a swing. It misses on some things, but I don't cast 5 out like a lot of other people do. Then there's 6, Freddy's Dead. This one's a bit of a mixed bag. I think his makeup in this movie is the worst. It just looks like a rubber Halloween store mask, unfortunately. But there's still some redeemable stuff in Freddy's Dead as well. I don't like it as much as 5, and I can't defend it as much as 5, but there's still some good stuff in here. Very late 80s, early 90s. Very. And that's the Nightmare on Elm Street tapes I have. I do not have New Nightmare. I think New Nightmare is awful. I hate meta horror, and any movie that makes me try to believe that Heather Langenkamp is a serious actress is rubbish to me. I'm sorry. I know she's got her fans, but I think she's awful. So we've got He Knows You're Alone. This is, I think it's claim to fame as Tom Hanks' first role. Not too much on the blood and gore, but very heavy on atmosphere and the point of view shots. Tom Hanks was so impressive on set, apparently the story goes, that the filmmakers were going to kill his character. It was written in the script, but they wanted to keep him around for a few more scenes, and he ended up surviving the movie. So good for him. What's next? What's next? Hell Night with Linda Blair. This is haunted mansion type of slasher movie. Costumes. It's got a cool little feel to it. Yeah, I like Hell Night. I always remember that scene where the girl gets her head cut off by the axe, and like her, the way they shoot that, it's actually really well done. What do we have next? Prison. I love Prison. Prison's very much a supernatural kind of ghostly slasher film. Prison doesn't get talked about enough. Prison's very important to 80s horror because it's directed by Rennie Harlan, who, based off of Prison, got Nightmare on Elm Street 4. The practical effects are done by John-Carl Buechler, who sadly has passed away. But he got to direct Friday the 13th Part 7 based off of this movie. Kane Hodder that's Kane underneath all that makeup and craziness. He got to be Jason based off of his stunt work and his performances in Prison. Viggo Mortensen is in this. He got Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. And forgive me, I can't remember his name, but he's also in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. The guy who kind of mumbles and has the bad eye, he's in this. And he got Texas Chainsaw Massacre because of Prison. So Prison is kind of an important movie for late 80s popular slasher franchises. So there's that. Oh, I pulled this out. I'm not going to include that. It's Prince of Darkness. Prince of Darkness is not a slasher film. Sorry. I don't know why I grabbed that. Oh, here's another franchise we'll talk about quickly. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There is nothing I can say that can come close to giving the praise that this movie deserves. One of my favorite horror films. Very influential. I don't have a negative thing to say about it. Phenomenal. Yeah. Let's see. We've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. This one's crazy. I love Texas. My opinion's going to upset some people, but I love 2 just as much as 1 for 2, very different reasons. The first one kind of encapsulates 70s horror. This one kind of encapsulates 80s slasher horror. It's crazy. It's off the rails. It's loud. It's Tom Savini's practical effects. And this movie gave me my first real scare, like jump scare in any movie, and it's when Leatherface is in the record or the radio station, and it's, he comes running out with his chainsaw. That scared the life out of me as a child. So yeah, Texas Chainsaw 2. We've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, which I think... Sorry, my dog's going nuts with his toys. I think this gets a bad reputation unfairly. Is it as good as 1 and 2? No. Were there issues making it? Absolutely. The director was fired. Fired on a Friday, brought back on a Monday. It's a bit of a sloppy movie and a bit of a mess, but I think it deserves its place in the franchise. It was New Line's attempt at keeping the franchise alive, and it's just very by the books late 80s slasher, and I'm okay with that, being a slasher movie guy. So I like 3, not as much as the first 2. And then my opinion on this might surprise some people, but I love this movie. I think there's maybe 12 or 13 or 14 people on the planet that love this movie, and I love it. Next Generation? Well, this has the international title of The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but Matthew McConaughey is the glue that keeps this movie together. It's weird and nonsensical and crazy, and the Illuminati show up, and that guy has those weird piercings and nipples, and I love this movie. I know everyone else hates it and despises it, but I'm one of the few that love it. Okay, what do we got next? We've got New Year's Evil. Pretty by the book slasher movie. I saw this. I kind of discovered slasher movies 10 years old, 9 years old. That was the days of, unrestricted internet access. And if anyone remembers Napster, before Metallica, shut it down basically, or made it a paid thing, and LimeWire and Kazaa. I would get home from school and just get online and find slasher movies and download them on the computer, and probably gave my computer 7,000 viruses. But this is New Year's Evil. This is one of the ones that I found online. Nothing crazy in terms of like blood and gore effects, but I like the premise of a killer on New Year's Eve who kills a new victim every hour for every time change for, different parts of the world. So, it's every hour that goes by, he has a new victim. And he kills someone with a bag of weed. He suffocates them with a bag of weed. I've never seen that in a slasher film. I don't think I've seen it since. And that always sticks out to me. This one's borderline slasher. This is Neon Maniacs. Firstly, the artwork on this is phenomenal. But it's like this group of weird. They're never really explained. They don't have a backstory. They live in this. I don't even know how to explain it. Under the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and there's like this. I don't know what it is, but they come out. They're like trading cards, and there's cards, and they come out. They come to life through the cards, and I don't know. It's very 80s, but there's some good stuff in here. Some really good practical effects and some really memorable scenes. So I would recommend watching it at least once. It's not. I don't think it's an out-and-out slasher film, but there's definitely some heavy slasher elements, and there's some really unique killers. There's a group of mutant maniacs, but anyway. What's next? What do we have here? My Bloody Valentine, one of the best slasher movies ever made. Another one of those ones from 81. Probably the best year for slasher movies. I don't have a negative thing to say about this movie, other than the theatrical release was heavily edited, and it wasn't until the remake came out that they re-released the Blu-ray with all the cut footage. And if you haven't if you haven't seen My Bloody Valentine and you want to watch it, watch the uncut version. This, unfortunately, so this is the Japanese release, and the Japanese release, it's long, but it's all character development stuff. So there's added scenes put into this version, but it's just chit chat and backstory, and there's no, the extra gore effects that were cut from this movie and pretty much lost for decades until that Blu-ray came out in 2009, 2010. It's not on this tape, but if you want to watch My Bloody Valentine, I would watch the uncut version without a doubt. We have The Mutilator. This is a pretty low budget one. I can't remember the guy's name, but he made this himself in one of the Carolina states. I want to say North Carolina. It takes place in a beach house, and a young boy accidentally kills his mom. And I'm not spoiling. This is pretty well determined early on in the movie. But young boy kills his mom, and the father never forgives him. Young boy grows up to be a college kid, goes back to that place, gets invited to the beach house by his dad, and then the dad kills his friends and his group of friends that he brings one by one. And my God, the kills in this are terrific. If you're one of those I like slashes for very many reasons. I like a good kill. I like, practical effects, but I also like the atmosphere, the point of view stuff, the originality of the kill. There's many reasons to love slasher films, in my opinion. But if you're one of those people that just want to watch a slasher movie just for the gore and just for the kills, I would find a copy of this and watch it, however you can, because there are some crazy kills and crazy practical effects in the Mutilator. Next up, we have Motel Hell. This is another one that's kind of I would say it's a slasher film. It's more borderline. I mean, I'd consider it a slasher movie. Maybe not conventional. I love that artwork, by the way. I would love to have like an original poster of that somewhere. But Motel Hell, kind of famous for that scene with the pig head and the chainsaw fight towards the end. That's on a cover of one of the very early Fangoria magazines. I'd watch it. It's fun. It's a fun little slasher movie. What do we have? Oh, The Destroyer. With Lyle, I don't know if you can see that. Lyle Alzado. He was a football player, kind of famous, an American football player, famous for taking steroids and having like crazy mood swings and being pretty vicious on the football field. And he transitioned into acting after his career was over. The alternate title is Shadow of Death. I've no idea why. That's such a lame title. The American title is The Destroyer. You've probably seen the original poster for this. It's really a shame that it's not included on this Japanese tape. It's of the guy who's this jacked up, ripped, muscular guy who has a skull for a head, and he's holding a jackhammer with a laser pointed scope on it. And there is a scene in the movie where that's Lyle Alzado. He kills a police officer with a jackhammer, and it's crazy and it's fun. And this is directed by Anthony Perkins, the guy from the Psycho movies. I'd recommend watching it at least once if you're a slasher person and you are interested in seeing a new one. Driller Killer is... I included it. It's more... It's kind of like a slasher movie mixed with like Taxi Driver. That kind of grungy late 70s feel to New York City. It's more about a character study about how this guy completely loses his mind in New York City in the late 70s, but it's still really good. Independent, low budget. After you watch it, you might want to take a shower. Okay, I've still got two huge stacks. I'm gonna put my phone down for just a moment here. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, let's bring some more over here. These are still in totally random order. Let's move this forward. Sorry about the delay, everyone. Okay, what's next? What do we got next? Let me make sure we're in focus. We're good. Okay, what's this one? Oh, Just Before Dawn, which I can't read Japanese, but there's a 13 in there, so I bet they tried to play this off as some like Friday the 13th type of movie, but it kind of is. It's like, it's a backwoods slasher film. I won't spoil the twist ending, but it has a really good ending. Couple of really harsh kills in this, good kills. It's been a while since I've seen this one. It's been a while, but it's good. It's really good. What's this one? Oh, Madhouse. This is a nice little, relatively unknown slasher film. Has some good kills. I showed him a few minutes ago. I have a Rottweiler. I have a soft spot for Rottweiler dogs. They're my favorite. And there's a Rottweiler in this movie. That's kind of how it... There he is there. Kind of how it popped up on my radar. This scene is crazy. He drills that poor Rottweiler in the head and kills him. But he's the Rottweiler's bad in the movie, but in real life they're good dogs. But yeah, Madhouse. It's pretty. I don't know. Pretty average. Nothing that'll blow you away, but it's worth seeing at least once. Ooh, Madman. Another one of my favorite slasher films. I know I say that a lot. Sorry. Madman Mars. There's two types of slasher movies. I feel there's really serious, gritty, slasher movies that are made to frighten you and are really well made. And then there's like campy, silly, takes themselves too seriously, but they're over the top and ridiculous. And this is a kind of a hybrid of those two types of movies. There are some scenes in here that are really unsettling and disturbing, and then there are some really over the top, silly scenes. That poor woman who gets killed with the axe sticks out in my mind. Her facial expressions. Kind of a bummer of an ending. I won't spoil it, but it's not like not in the sense of like that it makes the movie bad, but there's really everyone dies. Sorry. No one lives. Everyone gets brutally murdered and the killer just wanders away. But this is Mountaintop Motel Massacre. This is this was shot in Louisiana. This is, a small little slasher film. A woman owns a motel. She goes nuts. She has like a tunnel system underneath all the rooms that she goes in. She sabotages them. She throws like snakes in rooms. Very early 80s. There was a YouTuber on YouTube years ago who this was his favorite movie. And he was quite a character, and I can't remember his YouTube handle name, but it had something it was Mountaintop something. And apparently the fella found religion, which is fine. I'm not mocking that whatsoever, but he deleted all of his videos, which bums me out because he had tons of fun content. But that was his favorite slasher movie. So anytime I see that, I think of that guy online. Can't remember his name. We've got Master Blaster. This is another one, paintballers in the woods, but it turns into people hunting people. I would consider this a slasher film. I would. It's kind of unremarkable. It's not very memorable, but it's one to watch if you're a slasher person and you've never seen it or heard of it. The American poster is this, but instead of this gun, it's like a painting and it's in the shape of a woman. It's hard to explain. You'll just have to look it up. It's a cool poster. It's a shame it's not on the Japanese tape. Here's a little mini franchise I can talk about that I really enjoy is Maniac Cop. The original Maniac Cop, really good. Bruce Campbell. I love this cover, by the way. It's shiny. Let's see if you can see it. Kind of like, glistens off the light. Matt Cordell. What's the guy's name? Robert Zadar? Is that his name? He's poor guy, passed away now, but he was, kind of a character actor in the 80s and 90s. He had that cherub's disease where he had like a huge, uniquely shaped jawline. Perfect for this role. I really like Maniac Cop a lot, but if I'm honest, I love Maniac Cop 2 so much more than the original. The original is really good. 2 is great. Robert Davi, I think he's a Bond villain. He was in License to Kill. He's in some stuff. But I think this is one of his best roles as the detective who has to try to track down and kill the Maniac Cop. The action in this is out of this world for a horror movie, for a slasher movie. Um, that scene there, the chase between that cop car and that taxi, is a crazy scene. The ending where they're in jail and he's on fire and he's just killing people in the jail cells is crazy. There's a scene where he breaks into the police station, kind of like the Terminator, and just kills everyone. It's wild, wild. I love Maniac Cop 2, and this is Maniac Cop 3. I would still really recommend 3. There's some crazy stunt work in 3. The ending car chase where the doors ripped off and his arms on fire and he's like pushing cars out of the way is nuts. Oh, right there. I I don't think it's as good. It had some production issues. Jackie Earl Haley's in this. The guy who played Freddy in the remake. I think that's him there with the bandaged head. It takes place mostly in a hospital. Some good kills. I love. No one talks about the Maniac Cop movies, and it bums me out. They're really well made and they're really good. Okay, what's next? We've got Eaten Alive. This was Tobe Hooper's follow-up to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And if you thought the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was crazy and wild, go check out Eaten Alive. It's nuts. Nuts. Robert Englund, the guy who plays Freddy, this is an early role for him in a horror film. He plays Buck. And if you are a Quentin Tarantino fan, you'll know that line regarding Buck is taken from this movie. Not taken, but, homaged, I guess. It's about this guy, he runs like a rundown motel in the bayou in the swamps, and he's a giant alligator or crocodile, whatever he is, living there, and he kills people and he feeds people to the crocodile, and that's his weapon. It's a trip. It's a trip. There's a little girl that he tries to kill, this little girl, and she runs underneath the motel, and it's nuts. It's got the same energy as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The lighting is crazy. It's lit like an Italian movie. Lots of reds and blues and greens. I really like Eaten Alive. So this is Halloween. I only have the first 2 Halloween movies. I mean, what can I say about Halloween that hasn't been said by everyone else? It's a classic, one of the greatest slasher films ever made. I've never noticed that photo on the back there. I've never seen that before. That's what, Nick Castle being silly holding up a leaf? I don't know. Halloween's great. John Carpenter's great. I don't have a single negative thing to say about Halloween. Love Halloween. And then there's Halloween. I have Halloween 2. These are the only 2 Halloween movies I have. I would buy Halloween 3 in a heartbeat if it wasn't disgustingly expensive and hard to find. I love Halloween 3 as well. It's not quite a slasher movie, but I think Halloween 2 is a very good follow-up to Halloween. Not quite as good as 1, but, there's improved blood and guts. There's more kills. It takes place in a hospital. Yeah, Halloween 2 is good too. I like Halloween 2. And then I don't have 4, 5, or 6 because they're pretty expensive. And I don't know. I think the franchise kind of takes a nosedive after 3, but that's just my opinion. We have Witch Bitch. Literally, Witch Bitch, which is, this is also called Death Spa. This is a crazy movie about the spirit of someone that possesses a health spa and gym and kills people in crazy ways. There's a scene with a fish. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Kem Forey's in this. This is one to watch with a few drinks and a group of friends. It's Death Spa. Death Spa is crazy. Good practical effects though. Curtains. We've got Curtains. This is This kind of has an identity crisis. Sometimes it takes itself far too seriously, and sometimes it acts like, a pretty stock slasher movie. There's a reason. There's the mask there, the killer's mask, the old hag witch mask, whatever you want to call it. There's a reason behind that. There was two directors, and you can definitely tell there's two separate styles to this movie. It has some pacing issues. Um, I think this is pretty much well known for its ice skating scene out on the frozen lake. I think you'll know what I'm talking about. Home Sweet Home. This is from 81, very early on, early 80s. If you want to get technical, this is a Thanksgiving slasher movie. It's just about this guy, deranged, crazy guy. I think he escapes and kills this poor. Where is it? It's on the back here, I think. Kills this poor woman with the hood of a car. There's a scene in Mad Men like that as well. Not too much, blood and guts and gore and practical effects. This is pretty run-of-the-mill early 80s slasher movie. I think its biggest claim to fame is this guy, Jake. I can't remember his last name, but if you're old enough to remember the Body by Jake, home workout series, that's him. He kind of was one of the first people to make that a popular thing. So what's next? What do we got next? We've got The Horror Show, aka House 3. This was kind of promoted as a House sequel, which is ridiculous. It's its own movie. This is a crazy movie. This is kind of along the lines of like a Nightmare on Elm Street, kind of dreamy, supernatural, spooky kind of slasher movie. It's brutal, brutal, brutal. If you want to watch this, I highly recommend watching the uncut copy if you can find one. There are some wild things that go on in this movie. Lance Henriksen is in this, best known, I think, is Bishop from Aliens. And what's his name? He's in Blade Runner. Blade Runner is like my favorite movie. Brian, can't remember his last name. He plays one of the replicants in Blade Runner. He's sadly passed away, but he's a big character actor. He's incredible in this movie. He plays a really nasty supernatural serial killer as well. Great movie that no one talks about. What we got? Bloody Birthday. Bloody Birthday's good. I love this poster with the birthday cake and the razor blades and the fingers sticking out. Oh, it's such a good image. A group of 3 children who are murderers murder a bunch of people. Not much more I can say. There's some nudity. There's, an arrow to the eye. They beat a police officer to death with a baseball bat. There's some shootings. It's pretty fun. Another one that's kind of like, I don't want to say it's so bad it's good, but it's kind of tone deaf in how silly it comes off, but it's fun. It's another one that's good, with a few drinks and a group of friends. April Fool's Day. This is also known as Slaughter High. This one's surprisingly good. It had no right to be this good. It's obviously it's shot in England, and all the actors are English, and they're putting on American accents to make you believe it takes place in the U.S. But the poor guy gets bullied in high school, sets up a fake class reunion, invites all of his bullies to the class reunion, and kills them one by one in a really, really gruesome way. I mean, there's a lawnmower scene, there's an acid bath, A guy drinks acid and his guts explode. There's some crazy stuff in Slaughter High. Good stuff. Alone in the Dark. This was the director of my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street 2. This was the movie he directed before that. One of the first New Line Cinema original movies made. This is more of a home invasion movie than I would still consider it a slasher film. There's some really good stuff in this. Donald Pleasance, he plays a psychiatrist. Oh my god, Jack Palance. There's some really heavy hitters for acting, and the twist ending about the identity of one of the killers, it's kind of, it's a bit obvious, but it's still really well done and well made. I had fun watching it. It's really fun. The Zodiac Killer, this has a crazy backstory. So this was made in 69, 70, 71. This is a very early slasher film. I'm trying to look at the date. I don't see it. Oh, 69. There. So this was made during the real Zodiac Killer's crime spree and killing spree. Made in San Francisco, and the director of this made this in an attempt to catch the Zodiac Killer, because when he released it in theaters as this big production, this big premiere in San Francisco, sorry, he made this fake giveaway. I can't remember the item. I think it was like a refrigerator or something, or a bicycle. I can't remember. Some random thing he was giving away. And you had to fill out like a raffle ticket, like a thing of like your name, your address. And he was working with the police to try to match like handwriting samples. But it's crazy. This is a really, this movie's made in really poor taste. And it's very grindhousey, very exploitative. I think it's worth watching at least once just for the background story alone. It's wild. Killer Party. This one's okay. It's pretty slow. Not much happens in the movie until like the last 20 minutes. But oh boy, is that final 20 minutes weird and crazy in a good way. There's a big college party, and there's a spirit that possesses people, and when they get possessed, the spirit kills through them, and it's it's a pretty slow, uninspiring film until the last 20-30 minutes. So the final act is nuts. Okay. 2 more small stacks. I cannot believe this is an hour long. Guys, I'm sorry. I love slasher movies, so this is just my excuse to talk about them. But we've got Final Exam. I have a soft spot for this one. I don't think this is a very popular slasher film, but it takes place on a college campus. You can tell it's a bit of a Halloween ripoff. Not too much blood or practical effects to speak of, but it's just a random guy doing the killings. It's just a guy who drives a van, who just decides, I mean, he's obviously a serial killer or a murderer, and he decides to go to this college and kill students one by one. I think it's really well made, though, and there are some pretty compelling characters in it, and there's a shot towards the end in an empty like basketball gym arena where it's lit really cool. I really like Final Exam. I don't think it gets talked about enough. The Fan. This is another one that doesn't get talked about enough. This is Michael Biehn. Probably best known from, The Terminator and Aliens. And what else was he in? Was he in the Abyss? and Navy SEAL, whatever. You know who Michael Biehn is. He's just obsessed with this Broadway woman, and he stalks her and kills and tries to kill her. And there's a scene involving male genitalia. That's pretty hard to watch, and that's all I'll say about The Fan. I'd give it a shot. It's kind of a tastefully a well-made slasher film, and it was Michael Bihn's breakout role, so that's kind of cool. The Final Terror with Daryl Hannah. I don't even have to mention her. There are some big actors in this, though. It's just a backwoods slasher movie. Nothing crazy. It's good though. It's well made. It's been a long time since I've seen this, and I'm missing actors. It's got a pretty A-list cast before they were A-listers. The other one I remember, if you've ever seen Total Recall, the black guy, the cab driver who double crosses Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's in this. But there are some really good actors in this. It's good. It's well made. We've got Happy Birthday to Me. Very good slasher movie. Fun. It's a bit long. Normally slasher movies are about 90 minutes. Very famous poster there on the front. Crazy ending. If you've seen it, you know what I mean. Bit of a shocker of an ending. A bit psychological, some twists and turns, but just a college campus slasher movie. Really well made, though. Really, really well made. Canadian. What's that say? Yeah, 111 minutes. So it's nearly 2 hours long, but it's worth it. I would watch it. This one's a bit of a borderline movie. Pumpkinhead. Very good, very, very good movie. I would consider Pumpkinhead a slasher film. He's a monster. He's not a human, obviously. He's a crazy looking practical effects. It's directed by Stan Winston. Practical effects were done by his studio. The suit work and the animatronics and everything is incredible. Incredible. The special effects in this are great. I would consider this a slasher film. Very supernatural, very kind of fairy tale-ish. I think Pumpkinhead's a pretty common movie. I think a lot of people have seen Pumpkinhead, but not a lot of people consider it a slasher movie, but I do. And this is legitimately my favorite slasher film outside of the Friday the 13th franchise. And it might surprise some people, but it's The Prowler, also known as Rosemary's Killer. I love the title of Rosemary's Killer more than The Prowler, but this had a profound effect on me as a young teenager. A lot of people say it has pacing issues, which I can agree with. But every single kill in this movie is a heavy hitter. I'm not bashful about saying that I think The Prowler is Tom Savini's best work in practical effects by a mile. The guy's eyes turning white and rolling in the back of his head, the pool kill, the beginning with the pitchfork through the couple and the gazebo. I love the feel of it, the small town. Joseph Zito directed this, who went on to direct Friday the 13th Part 4. He always has not strange, but just odd interactions and characters, and I think about Axel in Friday the 13th, the final chapter, in the beginning, the morgue worker and his odd conversation with the girl he's making out with, the nurse. And there's a scene in here that kind of reminds me of that, and it's the guy who they call about the checking on where the police chief is in the cabin, and he's sitting there, and I think he's what he's eating. I think he's eating and having a drink, and he puts the phone down and he sits there. It's just a strange interaction, and that always stuck out in my head. And the kills are just great, and the head explosion. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a head explosion at the end. I mean, Tom Savini does head explosions phenomenally. I think it's one of the best head explosions in any horror movie. It left its mark on me as a kid, and to this day, it still does. Okay, handful more, then we're done, guys. Okay, thanks for sticking with me this long if you have. So we got Prom Night, Jamie Lee Curtis slasher film. The remake from the 2000s, I can't remember what year it came out, was terrible, but this is a really well-made slasher film. Another Canadian slasher film. The decapitation head rolling scene is pretty iconic and pretty well remembered. The killer with the black mask. Everyone seems to forget that it's like sparkly and has like sequences all over it. So it's very late 70s, early 80s. There's that disco dancing scene during the prom. I always feel bad. He's my favorite character in the movie. I can't remember his name. The guy in the van who reminds me of myself quite a bit, who, doesn't have too much luck with the ladies, but gets a date, and he's, trying to do his thing with her, and he gets killed in the van. That always bums me out. He's my favorite character in the movie, easily. But yeah, Prom Night's a fun movie. Here's another one that is kind of a borderline slasher film, and it's Scarecrows. It's low budget, but you wouldn't know. It looks great. It's all shot at nighttime, out in a cornfield. A group of, what are they, bank robbers, or they just did a robbery or a heist. I can't remember exactly. It doesn't matter. But they go into this. They're like in a plane. I think they parachute down into this cornfield, and there's killer scarecrows there. And when they kill you, they turn you into a killer scarecrow. And the practical effects and the special effects in this are really, really, really good. Really good. There's a scene in here with night vision goggles and teeth. And anyone who's seen the movie knows what I'm talking about. And that stuck with me as a kid. When I think I watched this on HBO when I was like 5 years old, and I definitely shouldn't have. Satan's Blade. This is a crazy low budget slasher film. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember too much about it. I think it's just a bunch of young women in a house in the middle of the winter in the woods, and a guy comes and kills them one by one. I can't remember much about this movie. It has been years since I've seen this movie, but apparently it made enough of an impression for me to buy it. This is one I need to revisit. It's very low budget. It's a winter. I do remember that. It's a snowy winter slasher movie, and there's not too many of those. We have Shocker from Wes Craven. Poor Wes Craven. This was his attempt to make a new kind of Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, because when he made A Nightmare on Elm Street, he thought that it would be a one-off and kind of gave the rights to the franchise to New Line Cinema, and lost out on a staggering amount of money, as you can imagine. So in the late 80s, this was his attempt to make another horror franchise, and it failed spectacularly. But I think it's still a really good movie. It's about, a prisoner who gets executed by electric shock, but he doesn't quite die. His spirit kind of lives on, and he possesses, electrical stuff. And the ending, where he's in the TV, it's original, and it's really well done and well made. It's a shame it didn't catch on, because I think there is franchise potential in Shocker, but it just never never caught on. It never became a big thing that Wes Craven had hoped for. We have Silent Madness. This is a mid 80s slasher film. I think it's most famous for being released in 3D in theaters. This is not 3D on tape, obviously. But if you watch it, it's a bit like Friday the 13th Part 3, where if you watch it without 3D glasses and without the 3D effects, you can tell, there's a lot of like things coming at you at the camera lens. Um, just about a crazy guy that escapes an institution and I think it finds his way around a college campus and starts killing people. Some decent kills. I think this is another victim of there's a theatrical cut and an unrated cut. I would definitely try to find the unrated cut if you're interested in watching this, but nothing crazy, nothing it's not groundbreaking or anything, but it's still really good. Silent Night, Deadly Night. Probably the most influential Christmas slasher ever, unless I'm forgetting one off the top of my head. But the controversy surrounding this, it has tons of sequels that aren't related to the original. And anytime I hear the word punish, I think of Silent Night, Deadly Night. It doesn't show too much on this case or the cover, but anytime I think of Silent Night, Deadly Night, I think of Paul Linnea Quigley being topless, being raised and stabbed and hanging on that mounted deer head on the wall. And that old guy in the beginning where he explains that Christmas is the scariest damn night of the year. Yeah, that always stuck with me as well. Stage Fright. This is an Italian. When I say it's an Italian-made slasher film, it really is. I know it's not made to be a giallo. This is very unique in the sense that it's Italian, but it's actually made to be a slasher film. It's a play. It takes place in a playhouse, and let me see. Is there a good shot? You'll probably best see it here. The guy wearing the owl mask is the killer. It's got a very unique killer in it, and he picks off the cast one by one. And there's some pretty graphic kills in this. So again, if you're someone who enjoys crazy graphic bloody kills, I would give Stage Fright a shot. Okay guys, we've got 3 more. And they're pretty underwhelming, sorry. We've got Terror on Tour. This is I think 1980. About a rock band who gets hunted and killed by a murderer. This is pretty campy stuff. This isn't, there's really nothing too memorable about Terror on Tour. But years and years ago, when I saw this for sale, I jumped on it immediately because this is a pretty hard to find tape. A Japanese tape, at least. It's okay. It's a home media release. It's not. You probably won't remember much from it because, to be honest, I'm struggling to remember much about it as well. But it's obviously like a Kiss knockoff style band. Very late 70s, early 80s. Okay, two more. We've got Terror Eyes. I don't know this movie as Terror Eyes. I know it as Night School. This is like kind of an artsy slasher film. It's unique in the sense that you don't see a single on-screen kill. Now, that might turn most people off from watching this if they're in the mood to watch a slasher film. It's all atmosphere and all build-up and all tension, and it does it really, really well. I think it takes place in Boston. It's about a college student working in a Diner, I believe. It's been a long time since I've seen this. But this is released as Terror Eyes. I know it as Night School. Yes, so there's no on screen. There's a lot of like, oh no, I found this person's dead body or decapitated head. There's a lot of like finding corpses, but it's unique in the sense that you see zero on-screen kills. But it's still it's a really well-made movie. And then the last one I have, I'm sorry guys, this is an hour and 15 minutes already. My God, Terror Train, another Jamie Lee Curtis slasher film. I think outside of Halloween, my favorite Jamie Lee Curtis slasher film. It's New Year's Eve. It's a costume party. It takes place on a train. The killer is painfully obvious. They show you right in the beginning, obviously, who it's going to be. Each time he kills, he takes a costume, and pretty much its claim to fame is Jamie Lee Curtis. And if you've ever seen the movie Die Hard with Bruce Willis and, Nakatomi Plaza, do you remember Ellis, the guy with the beard who does cocaine and is a fast-talking yuppie? He's in this movie as well. So he plays one of the main characters, and that's actually him there, if you can believe that. Kind of weird thinking about him without a beard. But this is my collection. By no means is it complete. I'm not bragging about it or anything, but I wanted to show it in case there's any other weirdos out there that like slasher movies on Japanese VHS as much as I do. So thanks. If anyone sat and watched this whole thing, thanks for doing so and putting up with me for an hour and 16 minutes. Sorry I rambled on and on and on, but take care. Hope you're well, and until the next video. Bye guys.